everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we are really excited today. We have the showrunners for The Way Home, the creators. It's so exciting to have Alexandra Clarke and Heather Conkie here. And thank you both so much for coming on the podcast.
Oh my gosh, it's our pleasure. Thank you for
Yeah,
having us.
absolutely.
Yeah. And this is our second time talking to you, Heather. You can believe it, way back in 2020. We had you on. This was before I even had watched an episode of Heartland. But we had you on.
Did I know that?
I don't know. But my co-host had seen it, so she kind of helped me a little bit more. But yeah. And we quickly remedied that because during that pandemic, Michelle and I started watching and covering it, and I told you that it took us about 3 years to every week.
I believe that.
I did too, because I still can't believe the number of episodes we did, even by then, and it's still going.
Yeah.
Like they're prepping their 18th season. So
wow. And we're about to start covering season 17, which is just airing here in the States at the end of the month. And so that's really exciting. But I did want to ask you just one question about Heartland before we dive into The Way Home. And I was going to ask you about that. Why do you think it has had such staying power of a show?
I think, and I've always thought this, that it's a family drama, and multi-generational, which pulls people of a lot of ages in.
Yeah.
It's something you can watch together. It's beautiful to look at. Everyone aspires to live on that ranch. If you don't like horses, you'll still love horses when you watch the show. And the amazing cast. They're an incredibly believable, beautiful cast. And it's sustainable. I mean, it has a life because it mirrors real life. We've seen that family grow up. We've seen Amy from like a 15-year-old to a mother of a beautiful daughter, and Grandpa Jack, being the rock throughout it all. I mean, I think it has all the elements. I mean, that's what attracted both Alex and I, because Alex worked on Heartland for 6 years as one of the writers.
Yeah.
That's what attracted us to this, because when Marley Reed had brought this project to us, she created it.
Okay.
It was so in that ballpark that I love to work in. It was a family drama. It was multi-generational. It had a beautiful New Brunswick. They live on the ocean. They live in this beautiful blue farmhouse. It's you just want to live there. You want to get to know them. You want to help them. Now, Heartland is a very different beast, or I should call The Way Home a beast, not Heartland. But this is a different beast to deal with. I love it. It's probably the only show I would have left Heartland for. I have to say that. So we're happy to still be in the family drama, the multi-generational, the aspirational,
Yeah.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcasts, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
Alex, so with a mother that's a writer on such an iconic show, like how did your career evolve? How did you, and that must have been an interesting journey for you.
Yeah, I mean, I was very lucky in the fact that, Mom has been in this industry for quite a while. And I, even as a kid, I would be on set, and that was kind of a normal thing in my life. And it was very normal and very ultimately inspirational to be on those sets and see mom in the position that she was at a certain point. It was, you know, starring on the shows, because mom started in acting and then went into the writing, and then all of a sudden, you know, was doing kids shows where she was not only starring in it but was writing them all and show running. And, you know, as I grew up, I think it was so much more of an influence than I ever really even kind of thought. I think it was very subconscious. And you know, originally I always loved to write, always, and but wanted to really go into fashion, which, I mean, is not a laughing matter, but it was, for me it is. I wanted to be in magazines. I wanted to be a stylist. I wanted to do all that, and I went to New York, and I did that and lived there for about 5 years, and pursued that, and really missed writing, like really missed it, and kind of just always set it to the side as well. Ignore that, do that on the weekends. And then we got a really amazing opportunity, mom and I, to co-write a film, and it just reminded me of where I should be, and it just felt like coming home, to be quite honest. And I think it's because of obviously growing up the way I did. And that kind of made me realize, okay, I gotta move home from New York. I gotta grow up a little, and I gotta, you know, focus on this. And you know, I paid my dues. I started at the very bottom, writing, you know, very small web series, and, you know, production companies would give me a chance, and I'd get on some of their shows, and until finally I'd kind of proven myself enough to actually go to the Heartland people and say, I am legitimately a writer. Give me a shot. And luckily the production company and CBC agreed. And yeah, I was there for about 6 or 7 years before this opportunity arose for both of us. And it had always been a dream of both of ours to work together. It's just very surreal how things, you know, speaking of a time travel show where you see your mom as your age, and, you know, things always come full circle in our show. It felt very full circle moment to be on set with mom, but working beside her. It was very good.
That's so cool. Well, so you were presented this concept by the creator, you said?
Yeah,
For the Way Home?
Marley Reed had this idea since university, and it kind of had evolved. But the core idea of going back in time and meeting your mother at your age and becoming her friend was always there. And she sort of sent us her, you know, pitch document, and it was beautiful. And we kind of said, you know, exactly what mom just said earlier, is kind of taking that Heartland lens and putting it on this show, and creating that aspirational, multi-generational world out of this incredible concept altogether. Because Marley is very much a part of the continued creation of the show. She's in the room with us. It's the three of us, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah. Wow. Well, the big question everyone wants to know, I asked on Twitter what people wanted to, everyone wants to know, like, how much do you have planned out? do you have it mapped out, or are you kind of making it up as you go? Like, what do you think about that, Heather?
It's interesting. This is a show you can't make up as you go along.
Yeah.
Heartland was, even though it was serialized, absolutely, but it was, each episode was a little contained thing. There weren't clues all the way through it that you didn't actually find the answers to until the last episode. That's the thing that we deal with that's so different. So you almost have to know your endings before you go back and do the beginnings in the middle. And it's, I'm not going to lie, Alex and Marley are way better at it than I am. But I do get it. It's just mind bending, though. It really is. I find myself sitting there sometimes saying, what? What?
Well, I mean, I just imagine you've got one of those like murder boards put up where you've got like 1814. And
there's a lot of brain breakage. Yeah, lots of memes created there for sure. No, no, mom's right. We definitely, it's a show where you have to know your ending in order to know your beginning. And I think, you know, all along, we certainly had at least the first 4 seasons very set in our mind, in the sense of like the bigger picture moments, the pillars. I think seasons 1 and 2 were very clear seasons 3 and 4 were sort of the, oh gosh, wouldn't it be amazing if we got there and got to do that, because you never know, and nothing is guaranteed. And so you do have to, with every season, treat it as just one season, because you, as a writer, as a freelancer, you never want to dream that you're lucky enough to get to do, this again. It's nothing is set in stone. So you kind of do have to sort of straddle the idea of it being a season in and of itself, but then also this greater, bigger picture that, oh, wouldn't that be such a treat to be able to tell the bigger picture? And so we're feeling very lucky going into a season 3, being able to start to tell the bigger picture in a way that we were hoping we'd be able to, but here we are.
Oh my gosh. Well, both of you, do you have a favorite of the 3 eras, the present 1999 and 1814?
Oh God, that's like picking your favorite child. I love them all in different ways.
Yeah, I think so too. I have to say, the nostalgia of the first season and the music, Britney, and it was pretty wonderful, and it was that season glowed with a light, and season 2 was dirty in the 1814s. We didn't make it look like a Disney version. Love Disney of it.
Right.
We wanted it to look dirty and rough and hard, and we just fell in love with those characters.
Is it possible that we could be getting an additional eras if we're introducing more time travelers?
They have to go somewhere, and they can't keep going back to the same place.
Right.
Certainly, with your time traveling show, you have to travel.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
We always joke that if we ever were to get a season 15, it's like Elliot roaming around with the dinosaurs. Jurassic Park.
The pond would have to take him there.
Yeah. We definitely, the model of our show is one where, as Mom says, you need places to go. And I think that's something that's really unique about, there's so many unique things about our show, but one of them is we do kind of introduce these new worlds each season with a whole new cast of characters and a whole new wardrobe and a whole new set of sets. And that's daunting from a standpoint and from a writing standpoint, but it's so exciting as well, especially when, you're taking risks. And I think we took a risk with the 1800s and introducing all these characters that we weren't sure if, like, we loved, and we'd gotten to know, and from audition through to shooting, they became part of our Way Home family. Chris and Watson and Stuart, obviously Spencer. And I think it was really amazing for all of us to see the viewers embrace them as well. That felt so great. And, because it is a gamble, but, gosh, if there is anything called a sure thing, it's those guys, that cast. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I think I would say a majority of my friends, at least, are big 1814 fans.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah, high on 1814.
That's really good to hear, because we were terrified when we started thinking of that idea of where to go, and knowing, the almanac at the end of season 1 pretty much said that's where you're going. We thought, oh, how will people accept a whole new era, a whole new group of people? And it's not glowing and warm like season 1.
Familiar.
I think people like it.
That's the thing about 99, 2000, and especially like that era was so fun to write to for both of us, because we lived it together as mother and teenage daughter, and it was very surreal to write scenes about Y2K parties, futuristic formal Y2K parties, when that's exactly what we were doing. But this was unfamiliar territory for us. I mean, it's the different type of nostalgia. And I think, because it was edgier, because it was, we wanted to make it real, because our show feels real. Like, we always sort of want it in the dialogue and the relationships and the problems at the root of it are family real problems. And so that 1800s had to feel real. But 1800s in New Brunswick was not a glamorous place. And So yeah, it was fun to write, but we were
really good.
nervous.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I'm a big Thomas fan.
Oh god.
Especially that scene when he's carrying her out of the ocean.
Oh,
Like,
I
oh.
know.
That was
So
that was
good.
a day. That was a day. Yeah,
Yeah.
they did such a brilliant job.
From the award-winning author of B'nai Mitzvah Mistake comes a story of the things that tie us together, the things that separate us, and what happens when fake dating gives two people a real shot at forgiveness. The Dating Contract is the second book in Stacey Agdern's Last Girl Standing series and is available from Tool Publishing and wherever books are sold. For more about Stacey, go to her website, staceyagdern.com. That's staceyagdern.com, or use the affiliate link below. Is in this world, is the pond the only place to time travel? Or are we going to get introduced to other places?
That's a good question. I'm pretty sure. I mean, ask the actors that, they'd say get anything but a
Please.
pond.
Give me
A wardrobe, you know,
Yeah.
the old car that they get into, and you know.
Yeah, you think they would start learning to dress in quick dry clothes. That's the one thing I would.
No, it's true. It's true.
Not jeans and like a heavy sweater. I'm like,
What are they
There's
thinking?
spontaneous jumps, you know, you never know. We're going to be called back. But no, I think one of the things that we've always really tried to do with the show is keep the pond special, keep the pond magic, keep the pond its own character. And I mean, never say never. We never ever say never on this show. But in the short term, it feels like to then say there are other ways and other means. It's taking away something from the origin story of that pond.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty weird place in person. It is a pond. Obviously, it's real. It exists, and it is. You walk down there and it's in the middle of a field, and you go down into this sort of lower area, and it's there, and it doesn't really look like much until you put a camera on it, and all of a sudden, and obviously our DP works his magic, and we get a in there, whatever. But on screen, it is the most magical place I've ever seen, and once you're in it, once you're watching the actors in it, it feels pretty surreal.
Yeah.
So in the finale, you introduce this Flynn factor, this trying to explain the time travel, but it really introduced a lot of questions, and particularly about Colton. And obviously, like, I know you can't give spoilers and stuff, but like, how like set is that theory in stone? And like, are we going to get like answers about Colton?
I think any question we raise, any theory we hypothesize through Elliot, there's a reason for it. So the Finn factor is, I would say, it was an attempt to give some answers, no question. But I
give more questions.
Like the best of our moments. I think anytime we answer a question, a few more are raised.
Yeah.
The Finn factor, it is a theory. But what I do think is, well, I can't, again, never say never. I anytime we do introduce a rule, anytime a character, especially Elliot, because I think people have come to rely on him as a bit of a grounded force in this series. I mean, as much as a lot of people this year felt he was evil and he did do bad things and all those things, I think at his core, he is a guy that is searching for the truth.
Yeah.
And really open to all sorts of different theories in order to get there. But he always is very, very, very well read in his research, and has the proof to back it up.
Well, I don't think that he's evil, but I think that the problem was, I'm glad that he's now going to have more autonomy in all this, because just as a pure observer, what happened is we just kept having the same conversations over and over and over and over again. So I was just kind of like, okay, let's get back to 1814. I'm not interested in this.
Show the program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I think that'll help him actually quite a bit.
I'm excited, on that note, I am excited from where we leave off with him, to see where he goes in a season 2. because I think that episode 10 really was truly in a lot of ways his episode.
Yeah,
And, I
see
think
that.
the moments he shared with Colton, the 5 more minutes he got that Mom wrote so brilliantly are, so meaningful to him on so many levels. And coming back to the present armed with not only that experience, but also the knowledge that he tried to warn him too. Despite the fact that he is a man of rules and a man of, searching for truth. And I've always said what happens will always happen, and you can't change anything. He tried, or thought he could for a moment. And I think the very fact that he does that and then comes back and says to Kat, I understand. I never understood before. There's a moment in episode 5 where she calls him out on it. They're fighting at Founders Day, and she says, you're a guy that's, you talk about all the rules, but you've never lived it. You've never experienced what I have to experience in order to do what I do. And I think now the playing field is a little more even between them, because he can see through her eyes. He can put himself in her shoes. And I think vice versa. I think, one of my favorite moments of that episode is him breaking down that wall at the end. And I do think it means so much more than just busting down a wall. And I think it'll be really cool going into a season 3 in the aftermath of that.
Would you say that the lead protagonist in the show is Kat or is Alice? Is it more Alice's journey or more Kat's journey?
It's both, actually, because, and I think season 1 was an Alice, season 2 was more Kat.
Oh, okay.
And we're looking forward to a season where they share more.
Yeah.
Because I think we enjoyed watching them time travel together in season 1, and they were very on their own separate paths in season 2. So, we want to, Alice as an actress and Kyler as an actress, boy, you time travel with either of them. They're so incredible, the two of them. And yeah, I'd like to give them both equal amounts. Because I think that's the most interesting, because they react to it so differently. They're such different personalities. Kat is so impulsive, and Sadie's a much Alice, played by Sadie, is a much more. She's still in awe, and she's not fighting with it. She just takes it in and enjoys it, because she's young and she's open to anything.
Yeah. Do you see the Thomas Elliot Kat dynamic as like a true love triangle? Is that how you're like thinking about it?
I don't think we had, to be honest, I don't think we had any expectations, because again, you never know how the audience is going to react to two actors on a screen, and whether they're going to see the chemistry that we certainly saw. But it has been really interesting and kind of fun to see this triangle kind of be, evolve into something. I think what's interesting about it is, it's very much an Alice Nick situation again. And and that's kind of fun for Kat to experience. Speaking of putting yourself in other people's shoes, I think her kind of potentially experiencing that this season can inform her own relationship with Alice coming into season 3. We're excited to see what happens there, and if anything, whether the pawn will let her go back, whether she'll want to go back, those are all questions we have for next year.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
Yeah. So can we expect big things for Dell in season 3? I mean, I'm assuming she's going to meet Jacob. So things have to be kind of pretty big for her.
Yeah, it's funny when Mom was saying earlier that season 1 was very much Alice's journey to figuring out and understanding her family through this crazy gift of time travel. And season 2 was very much Kat's journey to bring that family back together, through time travel. I think a lot of our discussion in the room has been about Dell in a season 3, because that just feels right. It feels right that it's Alice, then Kat, then Dell. And each woman, each actress is just we're so lucky to have all 3 of them, and to see them act against each other in a room is just probably one of my favorite experiences, because they all love each other so much in reality, and it's just so incredible to see them as a family on camera. But I do think there's more to Dell's story to tell this season, and not only future Dell ideas, but let's talk about Dell in the past. I think there's so much to unearth there, and I think that this season feels right to really focus on that.
Yeah.
So with Nick, now he knows the secret. Will we be seeing more of Nick? And was that fun working with Carrie James back from Heartland?
It was so fun working with Carrie James. And the funny part of it is that we were looking for a lookalike for teen Nick.
Sam.
It was a very specific look.
Right.
And we auditioned and just no one fit the bill. And I was sitting behind the monitor one day and just said, wait a minute. It's Carrie. And I showed everyone his picture, and the blue eyes and the surfer boy look and the blonde hair, and and when he auditioned, it was just bizarre. And when they first met together, teen Nick and adult Nick, it was equally bizarre, because Carrie said it was like looking at a mirror image of himself at that age.
Mm-hmm.
And they live close together in Vancouver. I mean, there's so many weird things about it, but yeah, I think that Carrie is just such a lovely balance for Elliot. And I love that friendship that goes back for all the years since our television viewers have known them.
Right.
I would hate to lose him, actually.
Yeah.
I hope
good.
he doesn't
That's good news.
say that.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I think he's especially the trio of them, like Kat, Elliot, Nick. Anytime all 3 of them get together, it's just such a joy, and it's nice to have that kind of break in the drama.
Yeah,
I think that as much as certainly Carrie really was incredible in episode 9 this season, when he Nick did find out and did get serious for it was weird to see Nick serious, but it was also fantastic. And but for the most part, I think Nick is just such a lovely balance to the drama, and yeah, so no, it would be great to have him back.
Oh, good. So Casey, we didn't see them much in the season, but of course we see them in a big cliffhanger in the finale. But so I'm assuming they're going to be a bigger role in season 3.
That is something we can neither confirm nor deny. No, obviously, I think anytime we answer a question like that at the end of a season, it would be cruel not to answer it. Touch on it in the following one. But no, I think the Casey of it all is so intriguing, and Vaughn did it so well, and no, I think we're very excited to see where they go with this.
One more. I'll squeeze one more in. So it must have been challenging to cast adult Jacob and to find the actor who really did look so much like the child actor.
Yeah. Once again, we went through audition after audition after audition. There was one person we really liked, And then one of our producers said, "What about blah, blah, blah?" And we got him in to read, and it was uncanny.
Yeah.
It was just, we'd seen his headshots, and we thought, whoa, wait a minute. And he had those same blue eyes, which is the hardest thing. Those are not contacts. He has the same blue eyes as little Jacob has, and their face shape and the hair,
It was bizarre.
black hair.
I will say we've had incredible luck in casting on this show. I mean, I think one of a point of pride for all of us, that people do kind of say, oh my gosh, they like David Webster and Evan and yes, Sam and Carrie. We are so, and oh my gosh, Alex and Kyler playing Teen Cat. It's surreal sometimes to see them all running around set because it just feel like you're time traveling. But no, the Spencer of it all, we were just so friggin' lucky that he was available, that he existed as a person, as an actor. And honestly, it was really, really, really emotional bringing him onto set, inviting him in. I'm going to cry about it right now. Because we'd all been on this journey, our crew, our cast, and we all believe in this show so much. On this journey to find Jacob, when he actually arrived on set, I don't think any of us, we all just stared or cried. Like the poor guy. We were all just like, we found Jacob. And he went with it, and bless him that he did. He just, we enfolded him into the family in such a beautiful way, and we're so lucky that
was there a lot of debate of like, when is the right moment to introduce Jacob, or it was like, should we hold it out even longer? Like, was that a challenge?
Not really. I think speaking of knowing from the end to the beginning, we knew it was something that we wanted the audience to wait for, but not till the very last minute. We knew halfway through was actually the very perfect place.
And we felt it was kind of a nice nod to the fact that in episode 6 of last season is the episode he went missing. And so it was, to us, it was important that come episode 6 of this season, we find him. And speaking of full circle moments, there was a lot of parallels there, just in the meaning of it. And no, it felt right. Episode 6 felt right. I mean, I know a lot of people were frustrated that he didn't talk until episode.
Yeah, it's true. That scene on the beach was so long. You're like, wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, very good. Super excited about the next season. Congratulations. It's been a breath of fresh air for the Hallmark Channel, and just it's a very creative, fun show, and giving us a lot of joy. So we appreciate it.
Well, that is so nice to hear. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. We appreciate the interview. Thank you.
Absolutely. Hope we can have you back. I hope we can have you back.
Okay.
All right, there we go. I'd like to thank Heather and Alex for coming on the podcast. This was so much fun to get to talk with them. It was a blast. I hope you all enjoyed it. Put your thoughts in the comments or on Twitter. Love to always hear what you're thinking. And check out our playlist with all of our recaps for The Way Home. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. Check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod, Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. Really appreciate that. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. And we also have the Patreon group and merch store. And we have some Way Home merch. It's very exciting. So please take a look at that. And we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.